So hello and welcome to our Bitesize Edge, our podcast series, where we get to speak to our fabulous Edgeites, as we like to call them, those individuals who have been through their Edge NLP training with us. And today I am welcoming the very fabulous Steffi Lewis. Now, when I asked Steffi how she would like me to introduce her, I wrote down a long list of words. So let me go through this, make sure I don't miss anything, Steffi. So we've got 30 years computer industry veteran, blogger, developer, videographer, cancer survivor, cat lover, foodie, sci-fi nut, and countryside dweller. Steffi, I missed anything?
No, it's probably about right.
So welcome, Steffi. Thank you for joining me today and for agreeing to be interviewed for our podcast. So, Steffi, there's loads of things there that I want to delve into and ask you a bit more about. But first of all, really, what led you to NLP?
I think back in, I think it was about 2010 when I did my NLP practitioner course, and I was sort of casting around for what I wanted to do next. I was working on a contract to develop some video delivery systems for a company after I came back from America and after I've been working in the TV industry. And I was a bit bored with it because I'd done it and then they asked me to do it again, like a rewrite. And I was just, oh, really? And by hook and by crook, I ended up with Pip, back in the day, on an NLP practitioner course. And I was just like, hello, this is great, And Pip not only did the NLP stuff, but she also sort of gave me some direction, which I'll always be grateful to her for, because I'm doing what I'm doing now because of Pip.
Oh, that's fabulous. And actually, Steffi, you're doing some work with us. We're using your skills and your expertise in helping us actually develop in what we're doing. And we'll come later on. So can I ask you share something with me, Steffi, here, that you're a cat lover?
I am. Well, I've got two at the moment. I've got two boys. I had three. My little girl got run over a couple of years ago, which I was really sad about. She's buried in the garden now, which is lovely. So I've always had cats ever since I got my own place. My first ones were Cassie and Megan, then Baggins came along, and then Gimli, Willow, and then Gimli. I was going through a big Lord of the Rings phase at the time. Oh yeah, Baggins, that's a really good name. And then a few years ago, I was actually recovering from cancer, and I was at my very lowest point. I mean, my best friend thought I was going to top myself one night, and I was sitting at my computer feeling really despondent, and I heard a little meow outside. And I'm in the middle of nowhere, so it's really, really quiet. I thought, that sounds like a cat in distress. And so I heard it again. So, no, that's a kitten. That's a lot more high pitched. So I went outside in my dressing gown. Remember, I'm just recovering from cancer, so I'm full of chemo and radiation, and I feel horrible. And I saw the tail of a little black tail disappear at the side of my house. So I ran out to the back, managed to call him, and up popped this tiny kitten. He couldn't have been more than 6 weeks old. Oh. And I managed to convince him to trust me, and I picked him up and brought him inside. And that was Gimli. And now Gimli is, a massive monster who just saves the wildlife of the local area. He's certainly a murderer when it comes down to it, but he's as lovely as anything, and he saved my life. So it's very, very weird that the universe did that, because I was that night at my very lowest point. So that's where I am. That's where I am with cat.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? I'm such a believer in things like that. And
I actually call him my little dark angel. That's what I call him. And I do say to him, and it's another thing about the gratitude to the universe is, I'm very, so grateful for meeting you, Gimli. You saved my life. And I do tell him that quite often. But then again, cats think they're gods anyway. So.
Exactly. They behave as such, don't they?
Yeah, and Baggins is he's 16 years old now, so he hates it when his brother jumps on him because his brother being what four and a half now, and never got on with Willow, and then Willow left me. Obviously, she got run over, which is a real shame. So the house calmed down a little bit because they were always fighting. But yeah, so cats, I love cats.
A real cat lover, fabulous.
Yeah.
So, Steffi, you mentioned there your journey with cancer and that you are a survivor of cancer. So 4.5 years ago, you were at your kind of lowest ebb.
I'd just been through 30 days of radiotherapy. I had been admitted to hospital. They did agree with me that they'd given me radiation poisoning, although the official word to my oncologist was, we don't call it that. I'd had 6 sessions of chemo. It was horrible, absolutely awful, but it saved my life. That's the thing about it. And people can shout about the NHS and, oh, they're so underfunded. But the thing is, everybody who works there is dedicated to saving your life. And, you know, I had a couple of brain aneurysms a few years ago, and I think the cancer was related to all that as well. So it was like a sort of 4 or 5 year journey of illness for me. And it was very difficult to keep my company going through it, but I did. I'm still here, and it's growing nicely now. So yeah, cancer was horrible. And I have to say that I do think my NLP training did help me through it. That's a lot of it, and my friends did, and giving me stuff did, you know. But I think without it, because I remember before my NLP practitioner course that there used to be times that I got quite despondent. There was times that what am I doing, and how am I going to do this? And I used to get quite despondent. I used to get quite depressed about things, and I used to think, I've never been diagnosed it, but maybe I was slightly bipolar. Maybe that's just my makeup, being somebody who's very, very logical when it comes down to stuff. But I do distinctly remember thinking to myself after my NLP course, do you know, I haven't felt that low at all since I've been on the NLP course. So it certainly changed my psychological makeup, so to speak. You know, so NLP has changed my life considerably.
Wow, and that's, you know, we never say that it's the panacea for everything, and you know, it's not that it suddenly you put your Wonder Woman pants on and your cape and off you go. But I think that's a really good kind of way of describing it, and the fact that, you know, in the nicest possible terms, shit happens, and you know, cancer is something really quite big and quite major, and has a huge impact on people's worlds, whether you're the person watching somebody go through it, or like you, Steffi, actually experiencing it firsthand. So NLP isn't going to be that toolkit that suddenly goes, oh, it's okay, I've done my NLP prac course, so of course I've got all not at all, because we're all human, right? But I think what it does do, and I think what you've just highlighted there, is it gives you, it reminds you that you have choice in how you choose to look at things. And you said about gratitude, and that's a really big one, isn't it? Just about.
I do agree. I do agree with you. Before, I think on the NLP course, one of the things that stood out to me was the timeline therapy stuff that I did. Having a look back at situations from my childhood that had really bugged me for years, and allowed me to focus in on that, and it did resolve a lot of stuff. But there was lots of other little things in there. It was like anchoring. That was really important to me as well, being able to anchor some calm. Pip did some anchoring with me, and before my NLP course, I'd never been out networking, and I'd always thought, oh, you know, standing up and talking to people in front of whether it's 5, 6, 50, 100 people, it was horrible. And I still remember going to my first networking event, and my hand was shaking, and I just pushed my knuckle where she'd anchored some calm, and I actually felt calm, and it worked, you know. And now I can stand up in front of, I wouldn't bother me 1,000 people, I don't care, you know, and so that helped. But I think through all my illnesses, there was this resolution that I had inside me that I'd never had before my NLP course, that I'm not going to give up on this. It's as simple as that. I've got a great business model. It works really, really well. It's regular money coming in all the time without even having to think about it. And I'd be stupid to give up. So there was times when I was in hospital, like I said, when I had the radiation poisoning, I was blogging for my clients from my hospital bed using my
Wow.
Lappy and my iPhone as a data connection. And I don't remember doing any of it. That's the bizarre thing about it.
Really?
I published a corporate results website from my hospital bed, and the money arrived in my bank account. I went, where'd that money come from? What was that for? But see, the whole point about it was I will never give up with what I'm doing, and that's the strength that I believe my NLP practitioner course gave me. It gave me that focus. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to make it happen,
Wow.
and nobody's going to stop me. Simple.
Yeah. Amazing. So I often see, Steffi, because I follow you on Facebook, that you're here, there and everywhere with your networking events. So that's really interesting to hear the story where you say, actually, terrifying, and now you just don't care. You can stand up in front of 1,000 people and talk.
Yeah.
Still use your anchor, or you just don't have to think about it now because it's so ingrained in you.
I don't need it now, because I've kind of realised that when I go to a networking group, there's 16 to 20, 25 people there, and everybody's in the same boat as me. They're all small business owners, and so we all stand up, we all do our 40 seconds, 60 seconds, whatever, we all talk, and you look at people looking at you while you're doing it, and they might have scowls on their faces, but the thing I realise is, well, they're just concentrating.
Yeah,
Concentrating on what you're saying,
absolutely.
And then you've got that next stage, or when you stand up and do a talk, because that's also terrifying, because I'm putting all my knowledge out there for 20 minutes now. I'm going to stand here and talk for 20 minutes, 40 seconds, piece of cake. 20 minutes, a lot harder. So you just have to make sure that you see a positive outcome at the end of it. You know what you want to do. I know what I want to talk about. I will have a positive outcome. And again, NLP, one of the things I do is visualize the end and everyone applauding me.
Fabulous.
That's what I visualize, that positive outcome for the talk.
That's amazing. It's incredible, isn't it, how just by shifting that internal chatter that we have, because when I have done networking in the past, not so much now, but again, right at the beginning, I guess, of my career, and stepping out of the comfort zone that way back when was the acting bubble, actually to go, oh, now I've got to be Jules without hiding behind something. It can be fine. And even though I'm an extrovert, even though I'm used to standing up on stage, even though I teach and train people in how to be public speakers, it's still the adrenaline's still pumping. So it's really important, just as you say there, around what is it that you're allowing your internal dialogue to say, because whatever we think about becomes our reality. So that whole idea about visualizing that end and everybody applauding you is so powerful and so easy to do if you allow yourself the space to almost reframe that thought process.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd never understood that before my practitioner training. That's the thing. I never realized you could do that. It was, I'd look at it beforehand and go, oh God, I've got to stand up and talk to people. I've got to, even for 40 seconds, oh my God, everyone's going to be looking at me. So you have that inner fear that you're a fraud, you're not good enough, nobody will believe you, everyone will think you're an idiot. But now I just do it. I don't care if you think I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Really don't care what you think. I know. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I know I'm very, very good at what I do. I know that I'm quite personable. Not everyone's going to like who I am, but that's fine. If you don't want to work with me, you don't want to work with me. If you don't want to talk with me, I don't really care. It's simple. And I think it's that shift between pre-NLP and post-NLP that has definitely happened. And it was only a week-long course, but it had dramatic changes in my life, and it still has them.
That's incredible. That is incredible, Steffi. So would you have thought, so you did your course in 2010, so it was before I joined Edge. 2010, we're now in 2019, so 9 years ago. If somebody said to you, right, Steffi, in 9 years, these are all of the things and all of the challenges you would have faced, and it'd still be standing, and your business would be going from strength to strength. You'd be living in the countryside, which you said is absolutely where you want to be.
Yeah, I love it here.
With your cats around you. Would you have believed them?
No, not at all, not in the slightest. I think my company had a bit of a difficult birth. There was a lot of challenges around people and relationships and money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I actually went through a phase of I lost everything. I'm not going to go into the reasons why. I'll simply say I lost my house, I lost my car, I lost my motorbikes, my camera. Everything had to go. And my whole world sort of collapsed in on itself for a little while. I stayed with friends, and then it started growing back out again. And it's having that resilience of getting through that. And that was the first challenge, because that was tied in with brain aneurysms, and that was horrendous in itself. And then you think, you get back on your feet again, you think, oh, that's all fine, and then boom, cancer. What? Where's that coming from? And so you go through the treatment, and then you've got like, I had a couple of years of depression off the back of that as well. But again, it was that resilience. Don't give up. Keep going. You have to get up in the morning. You've got to write these blog posts for your clients. You've got to publish them. You've got to be happy and smiley on Facebook, regardless of whether you're feeling like you want to go back to bed and stay in your pajamas all day. You have to do it, because that's what being a business owner is about. It's not fake it till you make it. Is the world has to see that you're functioning and you're doing a good job, and you can fall apart at a moment's notice. And there was times years and years and years ago I have fallen apart, but no, not in the last 9 years. No, it's just stay focused, keep going. As old Winston used to say, keep buggering on.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, indeed. God, Steffi, I could talk to you for hours, because we haven't even really touched on, the foodie, the sci-fi. But tell us a little bit about your business, Steffi, because if anybody is wanting to get in contact with you and find out more about what you do, I mean, we're a huge whoop to Steffi, because you're doing fabulous things for us, and we're seeing the impact of your... Say again.
Okay, so what do I do? I'm a 30-year veteran of the internet, and back in 2006, I decided to completely change my life, and I ended up working in Los Angeles as an event photographer, because that's the other thing I do. Doing photography and videography work balanced all the logic from my programming, so it became more of a hobby. It became a new career, and I was out in LA for a while. Really loving it, going to celebrity events, but I came home because of family reasons, and then by hook and by crook, through NLP and into doing what I'm doing now. And what I'm doing now is blogging. That's my gold dust. It's creating blog posts for people, whether they provide the raw thoughts, and then I turn them into a blog post, or I write the whole thing for them. And then around that is social media sharing, is email marketing, there's videography work, there's all sorts of stuff that sits around it. But the core of what I do is the blog. And the difference between me and everybody else is, I've got all this experience in the computer industry, but I've also got my own platform. And that's where what I was doing in America ties into what I'm doing now, because I was blogging in America for my friends of what I was doing in my spare time, going to San Francisco, going here, there and everywhere, taking photos and showing them. When I came back to the UK and when I met Pip said, do you know, you could be making money out of this? And I went, really? She goes, yeah, I'd be, one of your first, well, she actually said, I'll be your first client. And I went, all right then. So then I had to think about, how am I going to rewrite my blog to work with 2 people, and then 3 people, and 5 people. And that's how my platform developed and grew and turned into what it is today. And it's amazing. I love it. I mean, if anybody wants to go and have a look at what I do, then it's steffilewis.com, STEFFI Lewis, LEWIS.com. And you can find out all the great groovy people I'm working with and blogging for.
Amazing. And if anybody wanted to follow you on Facebook, what are your social channels? You've got Facebook, Instagram. How do we find you on Facebook?
Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Just
Yeah.
search Steffi Lewis. That's the easiest thing. I also do the Steffi show. I haven't for a couple of weeks. I'm taking a sabbatical on it. It's a sort of it's a Facebook Live that I do every morning. It's serious about my clients' blog posts, rather silly about everything else. So it's actually a proper Facebook Live show. It's got scenes mixed in, and titles and credits and all sorts of stuff. And it's designed to talk about my clients' blog posts for that day.
Brilliant.
So I've not done it for a couple of weeks, but I'm going to get back into it probably at the beginning of October.
Awesome, Steffi. Wow. There is a lot going on. And so just to finish, because the one area we haven't touched on that I'm really interested in is, what would be your favourite meal?
Oh, good grief.
So you're a foodie. What would be your favourite meal?
Chinese food. Yes, Chinese food. It has to be Chinese food, although I am very partial to a good burger.
Oh, and would it be a homemade burger? Would it be a particular burger from a particular chain? Or
okay, well, I do make very good burgers at home. I'm very, very good. I've got my own taste there. But I have to say my favourite burger at the moment, because it does shift around, but at the moment is from the Pottersbury House restaurant, just north of Milton Keynes. Yeah, lovely little. It's a hidden, I call it the hidden gem of dining in Northamptonshire. It's actually they're one of my clients, and I've discovered that if we do what I call just a blue cheeseburger with mayo, it's just delicious. So nice. Really
I'm salivating.
Yeah.
Thought of that.
In fact, I am now because I'm.
Oh wow! Just tell us again who they are.
The Pottersbury House restaurant. It's just up the A5 from Milton Keynes. It's amazing, and they've got it's a big old mansion house. They've got a restaurant, bar, and stuff like that. It's great, and they're lovely people who run it as well.
And a great plug for them too.
Well, why not? They're one of my clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Absolutely. Steffi, thank you so much for your time today. We
very well
appreciate it. So if anybody would like to go and have a look at what Steffi's up to, her stuff is fabulous. Go and read some of her blogs, go see what she does, her platform. It is Steffi Lewis, STEFFI Lewis.com, and you can follow her on Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter. So Steffi, thank you so much.
Welcome.
I'll be in contact soon. I've got some videos to send over to you, so for editing. So I'll be doing that this afternoon. But fabulous to speak to you, Steffi. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.